Hello and welcome everyone to Throwbacks with the Technodrome. Welcome back. How you doing, guys?
Very good, very good.
Decent.
I'm okay. I'm all right. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine and dandy. I'm happy to have our cohort here, the Rev, back with us.
I am what the French call laissez compétent.
You certainly are. Nobody would ever dispute that. But the reason why we're doing a second episode this month, which is a lot for us, is we kind of committed ourselves to doing a Christmas in July episode. So back in December, we wanted to do a Christmas episode where we listed our top 10 favorite Christmas movies. And then we're going to leave off the number one because we all have the same favorite Christmas movie. It's obviously Home Alone. Home Alone is by far the greatest Christmas movie of all time, easily the best of our generation, and we're all big fans, as our swag might tell you, right? Hell yeah. Thank you, Rosie, for my shirt. Love it. But yeah, this is a movie that had a huge impact on all of us and any kid and pretty much any adult who's ever seen it. I can't believe Home Alone is 32 years old. That doesn't sound right. Like it's always felt like a new movie. 32 years old. I can't believe that. I still remember going to see this movie in the theater, and I want to hear from you guys too. We'll bring it all the way around. I'll go last. So Duff, do you remember seeing this in the theater? And if not, do you remember the first time seeing it? Tell us about it.
I mean, definitely do not remember seeing this in the movies. I think it came out, 1990, as we were saying. I was a little too young at the time. I'm sure my parents were just probably a little unsure with, Joe Pesci being in this. They're like, I don't know, even though the rating, but still. But I don't remember seeing this in the movies. I'm pretty sure I saw this on VHS. My dad liked to get movies for Christmas. We always get like a bunch of Christmas type movies on Christmas Day, and we would kind of like watch them in the morning before family came over. So I think this was definitely one of them. So I don't remember the exact moment I saw this. I just remember Home Alone not being in my life, and then Home Alone being in my life, and then being an absolute staple for every Christmas thereafter. So yeah, I don't know how you guys were introduced to it, but that was kind of like my little introduction.
How about you, Rev, the guest of honor?
I do remember going to the movies for this. I was about 5.5. Went to the Alpine in good old Brooklyn, New York, before it was Dirty City in there. But yeah, no, I loved it. I mean, it's the type of movie where you feel differently when you're a kid than when you're an adult. When you're a kid, you're just hyped up for, the booby traps. And then when you're an adult, you get all those like zingers, those one-liners, those classic lines that, you just get as an adult that fly over your head as a kid. But yeah, it is my number one favorite holiday movie. However, I do watch it at other times during the year. But we'll get into that later for that debate. But yeah, that's what I remember.
So you saw it at the Alpine when the Alpine was, there's a nice new movie theater in Bay Ridge, and now it's like nobody
Absolutely.
goes there.
Except for me.
Yeah, well, of course. Scales, do you remember the first time seeing Home Alone? Theater, home?
So I have like similar memories as Duffy. So I definitely didn't see it in the theater, and I don't have a vivid memory of the first time that I watched it. Had to be maybe we had purchased it on VHS one year, and just don't remember how far back that was. Later on, I just remember whenever it was on TV, I'd watch it, and then when DVDs came out, when we were teenagers, one of the first purchases I made was Home Alone, because that's just, you got to have that around Christmas time. That's a staple, man. That's just the number one go-to. And now I've, passed that on to Rosie, and it's, her favorite Christmas movie. So the tradition carries on.
That's great. It's great to know that, because Rosie's like at least two full generations after us, and to know that a movie that once again is 32 years old, still resonates with the girl her age is awesome.
Yep, for sure.
I mean, look at how old we are.
Yeah,
a little older than 32.
Yeah, just a tad.
Yeah, 32 years from now, we'll be almost 70.
Oh God,
I said it. There might be another 8 Home Alones by then.
Oh God, help us.
Not. I do remember going to see Home Alone in the theater.
Of course you do.
Well,
I mean, you remember being in your crib. So
I do remember climbing out of my crib and jumping out, and then my father picking me up because I was screaming, crying, and couldn't breathe because I landed on my back.
You remember getting your poopy diapers changed?
Maybe. I wish I could forget who you are, but
where's your Christmas spirit?
I don't need the Christmas spirit. But no, I remember going to see it, and unlike Jurassic Park, I remember wanting to go see Home Alone because I remember seeing commercials for it, and the main thing that stuck in my head was in the trailers they always showed the scene where Marv and Harry slip on the cars and go in the air and then fall on the floor. So yeah, I went to go see it with my mom. Was newly 5 years old, and it was hilarious. It was immediately my favorite movie that I'd ever seen. And it was so funny, and I was so amped up about it that we went to my grandmother's house after, and she had some company over, and I was like a wind-up toy that got wound up too far, or like a cartoon chipmunk. I could not stop talking about the movie. I was just like, this happened, like I ran through every single one of the stunts probably like 15 times. And when you're a kid, you're like, oh, and then this happened, and then this happened, and this, just could not stop. I was like a little cartoon character.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I guarantee, like, if you ask my mom, she'll tell you, like, oh God, like, I was going crazy over it. But it wasn't just kids that loved it; the adults loved it too. Like, the movie smashed box office records. I think it was the highest grossing live action comedy for a really, really long time. Went until The Hangover or The Hangover 2.
Hangover 2, yeah. 2011,
yeah. Yeah, so it goes to show it stands the test of time. But let's talk about the movie a little bit. We're not going to do a piece by piece rundown of the plot, but let's just generally say like a couple things about the movie. Like, it's a John Hughes movie. So once again, when we talked about John Hughes movies, we were going to do a tie-in that we're going to say what it was our favorite John Hughes movies, except for Home Alone, because our favorite John Hughes movie, all of us, is Home Alone. I think it's his best. Any arguments there?
No, I agree with that.
Absolutely not. No argument.
Yeah.
Clean sweep. Agree.
Yes. Good. Takes place in Chicago or the Chicago area, like a lot of his other movies. So here's a question. Do you have any concept of who's who in this family? Like,
just so many kids.
Kevin is
around.
one of 5 kids. And then at one point I was like, all right, I think I got it. So it's the 5 of them, and then the rest are Uncle Frank's. But no, the rest aren't Uncle Frank's and Aunt Leslie's. Some of them belong to the brother who's in Paris.
Yeah.
Why is he in Paris? Why are the kids in America? Are they like? I don't know. Like, does anybody have any There's so many kids. I feel like Joe Pesci in the beginning of the movie when we're trying to figure out what's going on every time I watch it, and I've probably seen the movie 50 times, or if not more. So, can anyone shed any light? Like,
I mean, I think you just you have to ask more questions before you can actually get answers. How does Peter McAllister afford that house and afford to take everybody on these trips all the time? What kind of business is he in? What does he do for a job? Like, I have so many more questions. I don't have any answers.
Yeah, and it doesn't like it's never alluded to that the mom works. So one
No,
salary
yeah.
paying for all this stuff.
What's he doing?
Paid for plane tickets for all these kids, or at least all his own kids.
He's got a bunch of voltage adapters though, so that we know.
Yeah, you need them. I like how he says, like, he won't be able to shave when he goes to France. Use a razor, you wimp.
Oh my god.
So grow a goatee.
Oh, man.
The parents are so good. Not good parents, but like the actors that play them. It's funny. This is like, even though Catherine O'Hara is playing a horrible mother who leaves her child at home, this is like of her mainstream roles, the one that's the most like normal and dialed down.
Yeah.
And she's perfect in the role. Like, she
Perfect.
Oh yeah.
you believe
I can't
her.
imagine anybody else.
Yeah.
No.
Like you actually believe her as a good person who just happened to have made a horrible mistake.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't really let her off the hook, but and John Hurt is great as the dad too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rest
Yeah.
in peace.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah. Sad.
That. As we already mentioned Uncle Frank, but Uncle Frank,
He's a piece of crap.
he's so bad.
He sucks.
And I never really paid attention. His wife is so nice. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
It's
the
a weird
only adult.
dynamic.
She's like the only adult in the movie who's not like an asshole.
It's probably
Kevin or
it's
to
probably a
anybody else.
horrible. It's a horrible marriage.
Yeah, and what
Probably makes her miserable.
who are their kids? Just Fuller and unnamed sister.
So they
Yeah,
have.
It's
They
that
have
one that I think it's that one that calls him laissez competent. I think that's his.
That's one of
kid,
theirs?
isn't
No, that's Kevin's brother, a sister.
it? No.
Yes.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, because she comes into the house at the
Oh
end.
yeah.
So according to the Home Alonepedia site, they have 5 kids: Tracy, Rod, Sandra, Brooke, and Fuller. I don't know which faces are. I don't know which. I mean, we know Fuller, right?
I mean, no, Fuller. Yeah.
I don't remember
Oh,
a
Tracy's
Rod.
Tracy's the older one.
That's what I think. The
She's-
dark
yeah.
hair.
So
Yeah, she
they're
was the one who was counting. 1,
Yeah.
Right.
2, 10.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought she belonged to the ones in France.
I thought so too, but this is. I mean,
That's what I
So-
also.
And how are
Didn't
these
she make
people?
that? I don't know.
How are these people related? Is it all? It's what is it? So
It's they're
Kevin's Kevin's
Yeah.
father and brother lives in France, and then I guess Leslie's his sister.
So
I
it's.
think
there-
Catherine O'Hara and Frank are related. I think.
I don't think so. No, it's well.
I thought it was
it said-
Peter and
that's-
Frank.
Yeah, it is because it's Frank McAllister, according
Yeah.
to the.
That's
Mm.
yeah.
So Frank is Peter's brother.
Yeah.
Thought so. Look at that. After 32 years, we're still finding stuff out. How about that?
Yeah, but there was no way to figure this out before there was a Home Alonepedia page.
No, exactly.
I feel like George in the episode of Seinfeld was trying to figure out the cartoon. It's like, I think it's got something to do with the number 42 in the corner. That's the page number. I can't crack this one. Oh God. I'm never gonna get straight. Every time I think I know who the siblings are, it's like, nope, that's a cousin. It's like,
It's just too many.
Jesus,
And you got-
yeah,
You got the kid from Pete and Pete in there. It's just
yeah.
it's craziness going on.
And then don't forget, you got the neighbor too, who jumps in there too, and starts picking up stuff. And
You get good
No.
gas mileage.
bye, get me something nice from France.
These vans have 4-wheel drive.
I
Get
don't
outta
know,
here,
kid.
kid.
I don't know.
Read
Get
it.
in the room.
That guy's awesome.
That kid was up for the role of Kevin, and I
Oh,
think
right.
he might have even been cast as Kevin at one point. But
Wow.
yeah, he definitely at least auditioned and was at least close to getting cast, and they kept him in after they cast Macaulay Culkin. But I mean,
Wow, that's got to be quite the letdown. Seeing how much money that
Yeah.
movie made, being that kid's parents, you're like, damn it.
yeah.
We were that
Shit.
close.
So we mentioned a whole bunch of characters other than Kevin, but I mean, Kevin is screen icon,
Yeah,
Macaulay,
yeah.
and nobody could have played that part like Macaulay Culkin. It's not even that he's such a great actor, because as he got older, as an adult actor, he's adequate. But in that role, he was just so charismatic and so natural and charming. He's part of what makes the movie great.
Yeah,
He's half of what makes the movie great. But yeah, like he was in Uncle Buck before that, and he stole a few scenes in that, like when he's interrogating John Candy. That's a
Is he
great
cooking
scene.
up? He's cooking up garbage. That's what he said. He's cooking us garbage. That's his line.
But yeah, he just brought such like he's a little shit himself in the movie a little bit, to a degree, but he's also like a good kid, and he plays both sides of that fence really well.
Yeah.
But the stars of the show, the other half of what make the movie so great, are Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern, as
Of course.
Harry,
Without a doubt.
Harry and
Without a
Marv,
doubt.
respectively.
The Wet Bandits.
Yes, the Wet Bandits.
That's WETBA.
Shut up! Shut up!
Now, Joe, you're the one, or Duff, you said that you didn't know how your parents would feel about this movie because Joe Pesci and, like, even though the rating. So in the same year, he was in Goodfellas.
Mhm.
So
Quite a reversal right here.
playing a complete sociopath.
Yes.
Now, I knew Joe Pesci at this point from Michael Jackson Moonwalker, which I don't know. Have any of you guys ever seen it? Red.
Just clips.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the whole thing.
Yeah, so at this point in life, I knew Joe Pesci as the guy who was going to kick the crap out of little kids. Because in Moonwalker, which is a Michael Jackson movie, if you haven't seen it, I mean, if you grew up in the 80s, there's a good chance you at least have heard of it. It's nuts. And he plays Mr. Big, who is a drug dealer who wants to get kids all over the world high. And at one point, he... one of Michael Jackson's, friends, this is before he was really known as being really creepy, but like he was like a mentor to these kids, and Joe Pesci captures this girl, and there's a scene where he's holding her by the back of the head and smacking the shit out of her. And like you see in a shadow, he's got her at arm's length, just smacking and backhanding her around. It's crazy. So for me, seeing this movie and Joe Pesci as a guy who's, a burglar who's gonna rub out a kid pretty much wasn't really much of a stretch for me.
God. Damn.
Yeah.
He beats
It's
the
pretty
crap
crazy.
out of. He beats the crap out of pigeons too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yes,
That's true.
it's so funny.
Uses that newspaper.
Yeah, it's good to see him in a role without the rug, without that outrageous hairpiece from Goodfellas and My Cousin Vinny, just going on natural. But what do you guys want to do? You want to run through plot a little bit? You just want to jump into some scenes that we like? I'm gonna throw it. Scales.
Yeah, I mean, I feel if we jump through plot, we could talk about this movie for hours.
Yeah, so we're not gonna. So, Scales, why don't you give us a scene from the movie that you like? It could be one that makes you laugh. It could be one.
Are we going to get into the booby traps already? Is it too soon for that?
We'll save it for last. So maybe because there's a part 1 and a part 2. We'll
okay.
We'll run through what our favorite booby traps were.
All right. So it's kind of a quote, but kind of a scene. I guess those would be two in one and the same.
So forget the scene thing. We'll do some quotes. So
quotes. Okay, yeah, that's easier. I have a bunch of those written down. So the one that still kills me, and so in the beginning when Kevin is trying to find a place to sleep, and he goes into Buzz's room, and he asks Buzz, can I sleep in your room? And Buzz's epic response: I wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you were growing on my ass. I don't know. It just always kills me. It sounds like something my brother would have said to me when I was little. Maybe that's why I relate.
Absolutely.
His line delivery is so good. But Devin Rattray.
Yes.
Yeah. Even the line before that, he's like, Don't you know how to knock, Flemwad?
The names are great. So many good name calling in this movie.
I'm going to start bringing that one back. I'm just going to start calling people Flemwads.
I like it.
So I was not aware that movies were censored on TV until I was watching Home Alone on TV once. And when he said, I wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you were growing on my ass. He's like, if you were growing on my, and he opened his mouth to say ass, and you just heard, butt. It's like, that's not the line. And you remember how they would have...
They're so bad when they would do that.
Oh, yeah.
So bad.
The one that Rev and I like a lot is from Diggstown. There's a scene where Louis Gossett Jr. comes in. He's like, you son of a bitch. "You son of a bitch!" And I was watching it once. He's like, "You son of a witch! You son of a witch!"
I have a favorite one myself, actually. Total Recall. Arnold, at one scene, he's supposed to say bullshit, and instead you just get baloney. That's phenomenal.
I remember in school they had a Home Alone book. You know, when they would do like, you know, kind of a redux. It was like pictures, and I remember I would flip to the scene. I was like, I wonder what it's gonna say. It's like, I wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you're growing on my arm. I was like, they cheaped out on us.
What an insult that is.
Yeah, we'll go around. So Rev, give us a quote.
All right. So when I got older, I missed this line years ago, but just recently I got this line.
Make sure it's only from the first movie. We're only on one right now.
It is.
Okay.
Oh, it is. It is. Okay. So it's when the pizza comes and Uncle Frank answers the door. He takes the pizzas and he goes, "Hey, my brother's got it." But then when they go to sit down, he says, "Oh, don't you got some cash?" And he goes, "No, I got some traveler's checks." And then Peter says, very slight and low in volume, he goes, "Yeah, you probably got the kind of traveler's checks that don't work in France."
Yeah.
So I love how cheap Uncle Frank is, and I love that. That's like one of my favorite lines.
I was watching it today, and I was cracking up at that one because I know how much you like that. Duff, hit us with a quote.
One of my favorite ones still gets me so much every single time. They're, the children or whatever, they're sitting in the hotel room in France, and I think one of the sisters is talking with Buzz about like, "Oh, poor Kevin, what's going on? We worry about him. What's going to happen to him?" And then Buzz just turns and he's like, "Nothing ever happens." And he gives his 3 reasons why. And he's like, "No, for 3 reasons. A, I'm not that lucky. 2, we have smoke detectors, and D, we live in the most boring street in the United States of America where nothing even remotely dangerous will ever happen to him, period." It just gets me every single time, and he was just so on point with it.
And doesn't he refer to him as a little trout right before that?
Yeah, trout sniffer, trout sniffer.
Oh, the trout sniffer? I've never heard that phrase before.
Duffy, you should bring that one back too.
Yeah. Trout sniffer and phlegmwads.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
There we go.
I'll take a less obvious one, so because we'll go around. In that same scene, when Peter is on the phone trying to get somebody who speaks English, the way he's like, person que parle anglais. I'm looking for my son. Does anyone say that? Just his horrible French is so good. Back the other way. Duff, give us another one.
Ooh, I don't want to take all the good ones here, but
sorry, there's so many of them, so we could keep them coming.
Another scene gets me every single time. I don't care how many times I see it. Harry and Marv chasing Kevin through the house. They finally get to the attic where, Kevin's obviously bringing him through the house. Goes out the window. He goes to his little, tree house or whatever. Harry and Marv go to the window. They look out. They don't see him. And, Harry goes, where did he go? Where'd he go? And Marv just goes, maybe he committed suicide. It's so just obscure. Like, I just love that comedic nature that they just bring together, and then just it's great.
And the look that Harry gives him when he says it is like
he ad-libbed that line. That wasn't in the script I read.
I remember you telling me that.
I believe that. I believe
it makes it even better.
So good. Rev, what do you got?
So that same scene that Duff just mentioned, when Kevin says, "I'm going to call the cops," and then Marv and Harry are just sitting there, and then they say, "He's going to call the cops," and then he goes, "He's not going to call the cops from a treehouse." That's great.
From a treehouse.
From a treehouse. It's so good.
Scales.
Yeah, when Harry and Marv finally both get in the house, Marv has now stepped on all the ornaments. His shoes are off, and Harry's been hit with the wax paper and the feathers, and they meet up. He says, Why the hell did you take your shoes off? Huh. Why the hell you dress like a chicken? It gets me every time.
And so some of the lines from this movie, and I could at least speak for myself, I use all the time. Like say, like if someone takes their shoes off and it's kind of random, it's like, why the hell did you take your shoes off? And you expect to hear, why the hell did you dress like a chicken? Another one I use a lot is, what are you scared, Mom? Are you afraid?
Yes.
There's so many concentrated in that one little scene. Like
Yeah.
up
The
in
snakes.
the top of the house. Yeah, snakes. I don't know no
I don't know
snakes.
snakes.
I don't know snakes. He sounded like a snake.
Oh God, I have all these written down. We'll give another one each. Scales, you could go again.
Sure. The one where Kevin's he's making himself at home now that he's home alone, and he's sitting on the couch watching some TV, and I'm eating junk and watching rubbish. You better come out and stop me. I don't know why it's great.
Rev.
So I like when Fuller is drinking the Pepsi and the mom goes, Fuller, go easy on the Pepsi. And it's not even a line. It's just his eyebrows go way up. It's like, yeah, I know. So that gets me every time.
Also, when his face gets smashed by the chair.
Oh my God, it's
Yeah.
horrible.
I used to rewind that and watch it over and over and over when I was little because they give that sound that like. Duff, another line.
I'm just going to read the line, and I'm sure you're going to know exactly what this is. Yeah, we sold about 623 copies of that. In Chicago? No, Sheboygan. Very big in Sheboygan. They loved it, you know?
When I tell
John
people,
Candy, Gus Polinski.
when I tell people that we have
Get
a
a little hot
podcast,
in here. Hold on. Wait. It's getting a little hot in here.
this guy's getting
It's
naked.
getting a little hot in here. Hold on.
What's
Hold
going
on.
on?
There it
Uh-oh.
is.
What is that?
Oh, boy, we've got the Polka King of Bay
Oh,
Ridge.
there they are. Oh my
There it
God.
is. AKA Hiss Me Polka.
Little
Polka
Twin
twist.
Twin
Polka
Lakes
twist.
Polka.
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 Yamahuzi Polka. Polka twist.
When I tell people that we have a podcast, I tell them we're very big in Sheboygan. Oh, let's see if I have to pick one more. Oh, I got to go with the when they're sitting in the van and Harry tells Marv, "Why don't you go check it out?" And Marv's just sitting there. Now? No, tomorrow, egghead. No, go ahead. Oh, and another, the Rev and I do the Uncle Frank. Put them in your purse.
Yeah.
Crystal. Is this real crystal?
Fill her up. It's
Fill it up,
free.
fill it up,
It's
fill
free,
it up.
right?
fill her up, please.
Cheap
Could you-
bastard.
He's such an asshole. Could you imagine if one of your uncles treated you like that? Like
No.
being a lot of trouble.
Hey.
Look what you did, you little jerk.
Yeah, God.
I like how they slowed that one thing down with the "look what you did, you little jerk" when he's like kind of reminiscing and going through
Oh, yeah.
on,
Yeah.
and it slows down. It's like, "Look what you did, you little jerk."
Jerk.
There are 15 people in this house, and you're the only one that has to cause trouble.
Say goodnight, Kevin. Good night, Kevin. That's kind of funny. I'm
It's
sorry.
a great, yeah, it's a
Funny.
good one. It's a good one. I love too when when Marv hits Harry with the crowbar.
Oh, yeah.
You jerk!
Don't move.
And, well, and speaking of lines and Joe Pesci, he had a really hard time not cursing in the movie. That's where all that.
Yeah.
So this movie is like live action Looney Tunes, all the gags and all the stunts and everything. And that apparently is something kind of like what Yosemite Sam would do, like that retcha stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
apparently, I don't know if it was Christopher Columbus or John Hughes. They told him to every time he wanted to drop an F-bomb to say fridge instead. Apparently, so maybe that's why a lot of the things he's saying the fridge.
It worked. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like the trademark of his character.
Yep.
All right. So scales, I'll let you go first. Favorite booby trap, because your favorite is my favorite, and I'll let you do it. So I don't steal it. Unlike Rich American.
My all-time favorite is Joe Pesci coming in through the side door and the blowtorch just firing his head off, and just that pause on his face and the still shot.
Yeah. He's got enough time. He's got enough time to blink while it happens.
I think
every time I see it, I die laughing. It doesn't matter.
That gift plenty in our text group.
Yeah.
And then the head dive right into the snow.
Oh yeah, head first.
Rev, what is your favorite of the booby traps?
All right, so I'm gonna say the tarantula, just because of that scream.
Yes.
That highest pitch scream. I don't even know how the hell he did it. I don't know. It was great.
I think it's true to life for having a tarantula put on your face. So
absolutely.
Duff, your favorite of the booby traps?
I'm going simple. It's the most simple one, but it's the most like the squirmish one where I see it to this day and I feel the pain and I still just like squirm when I see it. Is the nail in the stair. I mean, just like, all the work of having to take his shoes and his socks off to step up each step. He does it for each step, and then he finally gets there, and then you just see like the close up of his foot going right into the nail, and you hear even just like a little sound of it like entering the foot. Yeah. And then his face, he just grabs his foot and he falls back.
See, I like that scream even more than the tarantula scream. The tarantula scream is funny because it's so high pitched, but just just the way that he looks down and realizes like that there's a nail in his foot, and then falls straight back.
More, I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, more gruesome than anything in any Saw movie. That nail in that foot. It's brutal.
And
so
we can all agree here. They would be dead, right?
Oh
they would be dead.
They would at least be really beaten up. They wouldn't be mobile. I don't.
I vote on death.
I don't.
There's a YouTube video that does all these stunts and actually says they will be dead.
So the fact that they're alive is a little more believable in this one than the next one, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
But
true.
Yeah. A combination of all these, they'd be dead. Any one of them alone, I don't think would have killed them. Everybody took all my favorites, but I'm gonna go because it's probably my favorite sound in the movie. When Kevin shoots Harry in the balls with the BB gun.
Oh yeah,
because Joe Pesci's face and sound, I can't even come close to replicating it. It's like it's the perfect reaction to just. I love how there's like the very slight pause. Be a good little fella now and open the door. Thwack. It's so high pitched, and then he just goes and yells.
That was Rosie's favorite too. When I asked her, that was her number one. At the BB gun.
That's awesome.
Yep.
When he burns his hand, have any of you ever opened a door like this? Anytime I've ever grabbed a doorknob, it's like I'm shaking hands. I've never gone.
I mean, there's definitely some things that we can get into on question marks about the movie too, where it's like how does this stuff happen? And we can get into that too, but that can be one of them.
Oh man,
I have a
right with that.
I've never once in my life grabbed a doorknob like that. I know one scene that we used to crack up at in college was two of them. It all has to do with Kevin screaming. Yeah. When the car comes this far from his nose, the van.
Yes.
Even funnier than that, though, is when he's like, "I'm not afraid anymore," and he sees the old man and just like dead silence, and then the scream and runs into the house screaming. Screams right in his face. And speaking of question marks, the old man doesn't have to be as creepy as he is. Why doesn't he just say something?
Yeah,
Oh, man.
my biggest gripe with him is the whole toothbrush scene. First of all, Kevin's asking about dental association, whatever, and then he comes in, he's
Slams his hand.
slams his bloody hand on the table, just looks at him, say something to him
in his combat boots.
Yeah, what the hell? Say something to the kid. You're being creepy. No wonder all the kids around there are afraid of you and say you're the South Bend shovel slayer.
How old would you say the actor who played that role was at that time? If you had to guess.
65.
I'll say 55.
Yeah,
I'll say 60.
It was 66, but he looks like he's 96.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was cast just based on the fact that his name is Roberts. His first name is Roberts.
His first name?
First name is Roberts. I think if your first name sounds like a plural, you're old. That's
His
like
last name Roberts?
no, Roberts Blossom from New Haven, Connecticut.
Oh, look at that. What do you know?
Yeah.
About
Well,
that.
it's like Rogers Hornsby. You're not
Roberts.
talking about somebody who played in the 2020s.
Wow. Impressive.
Wow,
Yeah,
how
but-
about that?
Yeah, I was brushing up a little bit today, and that scene, where he just slams his bloody, disgusting hand on the counter, and the kid starts back away. He could just be like, I didn't murder anybody. Hi, I've seen you around. They're like exactly what he does in the church.
I'm your
Like, I've seen you
neighbor.
around.
How are you? I think you're
Yeah.
Kevin, right? Instead, he just stares at him.
What are you doing at this convenience store by yourself? You're 6 years old. No, we're good
And
here.
also, just why did he slam his hand on the counter? There was no reason. He wasn't putting anything down. He just put his hand down. I've never done that when I've gone up to the register. Like, oh, hey, how are you?
Maybe he lost balance. Maybe his shoes were slippery from the snow.
It's true. It's just
Those shoes are pretty sturdy. They're not going
Yeah,
to slip
some
on
big
anything.
boots.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, why? And why did he wait until church to he's seen him so many times?
It's a movie. In the end of the
Now,
day,
wait,
it's a
wait.
movie.
Uh-oh.
Wait, what about the cops? They're so reluctant to go visit the actual house. They don't want to go visit
Well,
the
that's-
house. They think she's nuts.
That's a whole other thing too. He just knocks on the door and he's like, "Oh, there's nobody here. Tell her to count our kids again." That's it. You're not gonna ring the doorbell. Hey, Chicago police. Let me go around back. Maybe let me look in the windows.
Larry, we have a lady on line too. She sounds kind of hyper. Oh, because I'm in France and I left my child in Chicago.
Lieutenant Ballsack.
You want us to send?
He's got that piece of donut that's on the
lands
phone.
on the
It's like,
phone.
oh, that irritates me. Oh my god.
Anytime I've seen him in anything since then, I always think of that piece of donut on the phone.
Yep.
Breaking
It's
Bad.
on Seinfeld, right?
Yeah, he plays the guy who plays Kramer, Tom Pepper, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
He steals the raisins.
He does steal the raisins. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the music in Home Alone. Scales, you mentioned that you wanted to talk about some of the songs in here.
Yeah, definitely. I know we all love Christmas music, and I think that this movie really they did well with hitting a lot of the classics and putting them in the right places. First off, Run Run Rudolph by Chuck Berry when the family's running through the airport. Is there a more appropriate song than that for that scene? I don't think so. Do you guys agree?
I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite Christmas songs in this incarnation of White Christmas by the Drifters.
Yeah.
When Kevin is
Dope,
yeah,
dope, dope,
so good, so good. Apparently, there were
dope.
like 100 different incarnations of the Drifters. There was never just the same group of guys. There's been tons of different guys that have drifted in and out of this group.
I was gonna say it.
It's an appropriate name.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that song. Then you've got Brenda Lee's "Rocking Around a Christmas Tree" when Kevin's setting up the house with the silhouettes, Michael Jordan on the little tractor going back and forth.
So here's a question I wrote down when I was watching the movie: why do they have all those mannequins in the house?
It's a great question.
Very creepy.
Maybe the mother works for a department store or
No,
something.
the mother doesn't work. Maybe that's what the father does. Maybe he owns a mannequin company.
Oh, there you go. A lot of money in mannequins.
And honestly, if they're sitting there and they're watching it and they're watching that Michael Jordan cutout going around on the train, they're really not looking at that wondering, that guy over there, he kind of looks like he's floating. I don't see him walking. I just see him floating. I don't know. Just
he could be moonwalking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wrong Michael.
A couple other ones. The kids choir when they're in the church. I just think that's I love.
Holy Night, right?
Yeah,
Holy
yeah.
Night.
It's great. I mean, I love kids choirs, Christmas songs. I think those hit different to me. Those are really good.
Cass does not like kids singing. He will tell you that.
Oh, I hate it.
Oh.
Yeah, we covered that on an episode of the rap episode with
Oh, Hard Knock Life. Yes, Jay-Z. Yes. And then just the only other one I have is the original for the movie, the Somewhere in My Memory, by John Williams, composed that. So
yeah, well, I mean his entire score.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
He's in basically every movie we've ever talked about because he's amazing.
Yeah,
legend.
Kind of a big deal. I wonder what his bank account looks like.
Big.
Apparently, he wasn't supposed to do the score for this movie originally, and something happened with the initial. I forgot the other guy's name, but then John Hughes got in contact with Spielberg. He's like, "Can you hook me up with this John Williams guy?" So he had the connection, and the rest is history.
This guy.
Yeah.
Just the way that the Wet Bandits have a theme of their own is great. You know, the da 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 da. It's a word that gets thrown around a lot, but the music in the movie is iconic. You know, like you hear it, you know, just like any of his movies, you hear the theme and you immediately know what it's from. Yep. Except if we're talking about Police Academy and Jurassic Park, it might get a little.
And Coach, get them all mixed up now.
Not a John Williams theme. Not just not to confuse everybody. What was the other one I threw in that mix? One of the Star Wars themes, right?
Oh,
that's another one. So
it's all the same.
These are all inside jokes, but Scales gets mixed up with what's Police Academy theme
and Coach,
and now throw in there potentially Jurassic Park and the main theme to Star Wars, all horn themes.
It's all the same.
The music from this movie, the song, like not John Williams, obviously, because that music goes with this movie, but like Rocking Around the Christmas Tree and Run Run Rudolph. Whenever I hear those songs, this is what I think of. I think of, the scene with Kevin trying to fool the Wet Bandits. That whenever I hear Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, whenever I hear Run Run Rudolph, I picture, the whole family running through the airport.
Yep. The other one I forgot to mention was the Carol of the Bells that kind of melds into the score when he's setting up the booby traps. That's just awesome. Really good.
Oh, yeah. It's very well done. Here's something that was really surprising for me, and I first learned it a few years ago. So, have you ever met anybody who doesn't like Home Alone? No, but you've never known anybody. It's even like who doesn't even forget about like it. Who doesn't love Home Alone? I can't think of
who thinks it's okay.
I can't think of.
I don't even want to be friends with you.
I can't think of a child or an adult that has ever seen Home Alone and is like, I don't really like it. When I looked it up on Wikipedia or IMDb, I expected it to be like 100%, like on Rotten Tomatoes, 10 out of 10 on IMDb. It's like lukewarm reviews. It didn't really get great reviews, even though it made a ton of money. Like Roger Ebert, because of course, gave it 2.5 stars. The reviews are kind of tepid, and I don't get it. I mean, I get it. I know of the four of us, and usually it's the three of the four. I know I'm the difficult one, and I'm the one who's going to be like, yeah, well, like whatever. Like, even trying to dislike this movie, you can't, because as ridiculous and as much of a Looney Tunes cartoon it is, set in real life, there's a charm to it that brings you through. Like, that you're not going to nitpick everything, like, oh, this is so dumb, that wouldn't happen. Yeah, almost every scene in the movie is like, this is so dumb, it wouldn't happen. But Macaulay Culkin's charm and John Hughes' direction and the music and everything about it just brings you brings you through rooting for him and like wanting to see these guys get crushed, even though they're human beings who are getting the shit kicked out of them. I just don't get the lukewarm reviews. Like it's even, I think it's, I don't even know if it has a 7 on IMDb. Yeah. So I was appalled. Nobody in my circle that I've ever met has ever been like, Home Alone's all right. I'm not a big fan. No, everybody loves Home Alone.
Who are these people?
So just like the great Weird Al said in his "You Can't Touch This" parody, you can't watch this. Those Siskel and Ebert bums ought to go home and just sit on their thumbs. That's word because you know.
I agree.
Do we have anything else? Any closing thoughts about Home Alone before we move onward? Yes, I see Mr. Duff.
Yes,
Duffman.
I'm raising my hand. Just a couple things I wanted to touch on really quickly that I feel like if we didn't at least mention one of these things in particular, it would not be doing this movie justice. First, Angels with Filthy Souls should be made into a movie. It should be a full-length film that we can all go and see, and then we'll talk about the sequel coming up shortly. This should have actually been a movie. Second,
too bad AC ain't in charge no more.
Second, the macaroni and cheese that Kevin prepares right before he's about to do the deed looks so darn good, and I feel so bad when he just left it there and didn't eat it. But drinking milk with mac and cheese,
bad. No, even worse, drinking milk with pizza.
Pizza. I was gonna mention that. That's just. She's like, drink the milk. I don't want it to go bad. Like, who cares? Right. It's milk. Throw it out.
I'm gonna gross everybody out because.
Oh no!
I insisted on drinking milk with pizza once when I was a kid. I was like 4 years old, and my mom said it's too much dairy. You can't do that. I insisted. I did it. I threw up out my nose.
Was it because of the movie that you wanted to do it?
No, it was before the movie. It was before I saw the movie. I was
thought you were
really
inspired.
No, because I remember in the movie I was horrified that they did that. I was like, they're gonna throw up out their noses. They can't do that.
They should all been drinking Pepsi like Fuller.
And then my last quick little tidbit. Why didn't anybody else set an alarm? I know that they were all, waiting for the alarm to go off and they lost power, but you're telling me that no one else had something else set up on the side with batteries, nothing? And there's how many people in this house?
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. Come on.
So I had never heard the phrase sleeping in or we slept in until this movie. So when I was a kid, when they said that, I had no clue what they said. I remember when I had it on VHS, I rewound it and watched it a ton of times and had no clue what it was that they said.
I always use it as like a positive, like you're sleeping in because you want to sleep in. Like, why didn't they say overslept? Like that's
it's a weird turn of phrase.
It's like our differences when I say that I'm getting in line and you say you're getting online, and I'm like, well, no.
That's why when you were a teenager, you didn't talk to anybody because you were on America in line instead of online.
It doesn't. Nope, that doesn't work. Why don't you go inside? Isn't that what else?
I know that's another one. Yeah, when you go in another room in the house, you point. You go, go inside.
I'm already inside.
Listen, even my dogs were able to understand that.
Anyway.
A funny thing that happens in that pizza eating scene is that Kevin's ticket gets wet and they throw it away. So even if Kevin went to the airport, he still wouldn't have a ticket.
No.
And as Duff, I believe you've said, foreshadowing.
And another quick little thing. All those pizzas, they all look like they had like olives on it. Like, come on, you have how many kids in a house?
One cheese.
Those kind of pizzas, and you only get one cheese for a house filled with kids? I'm calling BS on that. No way.
Yeah,
no way.
I agree.
They're at least getting 5 to 6 cheese pizzas in a house full of kids.
Yeah.
And you watch the movie now, and you'll never get like the TSA. That was not a thing back then. So they were just running through the airport with their luggages, didn't have to wait in line for security, just went up right to the gate and showed their ticket.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Could try to shove multiple enormous suitcases into the overhead. Oh my god, I lost my train of thought. Buzz, the pizza.
Gotta go fresh.
The what?
Buzz's girlfriend.
Fresh.
Oh, you know that was like the producer or somebody who worked on the movie. His son, right?
The art
It was
director.
a boy. Yeah, it was a boy.
Yeah. He didn't want to make a girl. He felt bad making it a girl, so he
Yeah.
put a boy in a wig.
There's so much more we could talk about here.
Yeah, his face reacting to it is priceless.
Yeah.
And Buzz's life savings is about maybe $20 in $1 bills.
Seriously.
But yeah, we'll wrap this one up because we could do 15 podcasts on Home Alone and just keep talking about the same things over. This is like me as a 5-year-old all over again, just like, oh yeah, and this happened. So let's move on to the sequel, and I'm going to hand the reins of this episode over to Mr. Scales.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So almost 2 years to the day. The first one came out November 16th of 1990, and Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, came out November 20th, 1992. Directed once again by Chris Columbus and written and produced by John Hughes. John Williams on the score once again. This one clocked in at 120 minutes, and I feel like it's like when I read that, I was like, that sounds right, because I feel like this movie is a little long. It drags a little bit here and there. But they tried churning out some more cash with basically the same premise. This takes place a little different circumstance and in a different city. I don't remember seeing this in the theater. I don't remember the first time I saw it. Probably on a VHS once again. Any of you guys remember seeing this one in the theater or the first time you saw it? I'll throw it to Cast first.
I do remember going to see this in the theater. I don't have the same kind of memory about it as the first one. I do. And I saw it. My friend Charlie and I saw it with my mom. Charlie remembers going to see it too. I remember this is when you're a kid, you like pretty much everything you see. And I remember this is the first time I was disappointed seeing a movie because I loved the first movie so much. And it just didn't measure up. There were funny parts. I liked it, but I remember leaving the theater like, all right, that wasn't what I wanted it to be. And every time I've watched the movie since then, I felt the same way. It's like a pale imitation of the first one. It doesn't have, I mentioned a few times, the first movie, it brings you through on charm. This doesn't have the charm. It's like it retreads the first movie and tries, but I don't dislike it. This isn't a situation like The Lost World where that was the last time I saw it. I've still seen the movie a number of times after, but whereas I would put Home Alone on or watch it anytime it's on TV, Home Alone 2, I'll leave it on if I don't have cable anymore, but if I'm somewhere that has cable and I'm flipping through, I'll leave Home Alone 2, but I won't actively put it on and watch it myself.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Suck brick, kid.
Rev, I'll throw it to you next. You remember your first time watching this one?
I actually don't. I don't even think I saw it in the movie. I think I just rented it on VHS. But yeah, I agree with Cass. It's pales in comparison to the first one. It's still funny with the gags, but they just kind of rely heavily on the gags, not so much characters, because the first one had so many side characters that were just fantastic, and there really wasn't that many side characters. Like Mr. Duncan I didn't like him. Yeah, he was flaccid. But yeah, other than that, very flaccid. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the gags were good, and there were some funny lines here and there, but just not so memorable. But still a decent movie. I don't hate it whatsoever. And if it's on, I'll watch it, but definitely not compared to the first. First is just a classic.
Yeah.
All right. So the Duffy, I sense some rebuttal coming.
Someone's looking a little disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to disagree with that. Both of those comments and statements. Home Alone obviously is definitely within its own genre, in my opinion. It's like ultimate. Home Alone 2, it can't compare to it, but I still think it's excellent. It's, if there's like a 1A, this is like kind of a 1B. It doesn't have quite the same, good feelings about it, but I feel like it makes up for it in other ways in the second one. I think there's a couple characters in there that really make the movie great. Cedric, I think, he's excellent. Tim Curry's character, I think, is amazing in it. The quick little role for all of our fans out there that might love this man, which I don't know, whatever, but
I love China.
He makes an appearance
that they tried to scrub.
That is true. But yeah, I just think, it follows the same general idea, put in a different place, but it still has classic moments. Now they're the sticky bandits, now they're not the wet bandits, but yeah, you can get into all that. But I personally think that this is still an excellent film. It's not Home Alone, but it's it's pretty darn close. And I this is definitely one that I will reach out to. I have to watch this right around when Christmas time comes.
I know you're a big Tim Curry fan, Duffy. I think that's. I mean, I can stand you are too. Maybe.
Yeah.
Tim Curry's great.
Yeah. Tim Curry's gonna be great in anything. Yeah. Like any role he's in, he's gonna bring it. Like, so I totally agree that I think
one of your fan favorites, Clue.
Yes, Clue.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
Who could forget about
Pennywise the dancing clown.
Yes.
You are Georgia.
Who can forget about Little Mo with the gimpy leg?
Oh, Little Mo. All right, that's just a little opening there. I guess we could just dive right in. We'll kind of do what we did with the first movie, like quotes / moments.
Yeah.
So I'll throw it to Duffy first, since I know you love this movie the most out of the four of us. So what's your top one that comes to your mind first?
Since I just love my old dad joke humor type thing, as you guys know me very well, this is kind of something that I've actually utilized today, and I'll say this stupid kind of line and other references, but it's where Kevin's kind of in the hotel room and he's ordering all this room service, and the guy comes in and starts serving him all the ice cream, and this guy kind of looks over him and he's like, 2 scoops, sir, and he's like, 2, make it 3, I'm not driving. And I don't know. I just think it's so stupid, but I'll use that nowadays too with certain things where it's like, oh, you want, I don't know. It's just great.
I say that all the time too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I associate that line with Dirk, our friend Dirk, because I feel like he would always say that in college.
Cast, what do you got?
Hands down, my favorite line in this movie. So I think it was the first time I'd gone back and tried to reappraise it. I was watching it. Maybe it might have been after college or in between semesters. There's a line early on. It's when Uncle Frank is showering and Kevin wants to go get his tie. And I never noticed it the first, however many times I saw the movie. But when Kevin says he can't go get his tie because Uncle Frank told him if he walked in on him while he was in the shower, he'd grow up never feeling like a real man.
That's so weird. Oh my God.
It's one of the funniest things I've ever heard in a family movie.
Doesn't his dad laugh and he's like, oh, he said that?
Yeah, because Kevin's like, whatever that means. And he's like, oh, I'm sure that he was just kidding. And then the subsequent scene of Kevin taping Uncle Frank is great with him singing the Cool Jerk. Oh, you're cooking, Frankie.
Frankie!
What does he say to him? Get out of here, you little pervert.
Yeah, get out of here, you nosy little pervert. I'll slap you silly.
Slap you silly.
Who says that to a kid? Oh, my God.
Hey, Uncle Frank, he was cooking.
Oh, he was a jackass. All right, Rev, what do you got?
So Rob Schneider is the bellhop.
Rob Schneider is a state.
He was talking to Kevin and he was giving him the tour and he goes, Herbert Hoover once stayed on this floor. And then Kevin goes, wait, the vacuum cleaner guy? And then he goes, no, the president. And then he proceeds to then give him a tip with the with the wad of used gum. So that was great. I love that.
Classic. One. That's a classic moment. Rob Schneider. Oh my God. What did I write down? A carrot. I always get a kick out of the in the beginning parts of the movie where Kevin is evading the sticky bandits. Now they're back on his trail and Kevin pinches the lady's butt from behind and he turns around and whacks Harry in the face. Whacks Marv in the face. Love it. Love that part.
Isn't Marv's reaction, hello?
He says, pardon moi, mon chéri. Classic.
He did it.
Duffy, we'll go back around again. You have another one?
I do. It's there's no real lines to this one. It's just a... Uncle Frank's reaction. It's kind of early in the movie when they're all going to see the recital or the concert, where Kevin's singing with Buzz or whatever, and then Buzz is a jerk and causes the whole thing, whatever. But then, everything starts happening, things start falling over, and eventually this, fake Christmas tree falls on the woman who's playing the piano. And up until that point, Uncle Frank was sleeping. But then, once the tree hits the woman and she falls and she's like, "Woo!" You see Uncle Frank, he's the only one, he's pointing, he's going, "Ah!" He's like pointing and laughing at this poor old woman that just got smacked in the head by a fake Christmas tree.
He's such a jackass.
The way she falls off the stage is classic.
So great.
Why is everybody laughing at what Buzz is doing? It's not even funny at all. His own family's laughing at him. Could you imagine if your brother was doing that to you? They'd be like, "Stop being a fucking asshole."
Yeah, seriously.
Buzz. Yeah, Kevin just gets dumped on.
Freaking jerk. Cass, what do you got?
I might have to go with, "Howdy do. This is Peter McAllister, the father. I need a hotel room, please, with an extra large bed, a TV, and one of those refrigerators you have to open with a key. Credit card? You got it." I think it's one of those little refrigerators you have to open with a key.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that line because of the talk boy. I wanted to mention maybe just
shameless plug.
I had one, of course. I was a shill for that because it was like, come on, this thing is awesome. You see how well Kevin uses it. I gotta have one of these bad boys. Anybody else have a talk boy?
No.
Yep.
I still remember.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember that you had one actually.
Nice.
I remember the commercial for it. Yeah. "Hi kids, we're home early." "Hi kids, we're home early." It's funny because it's such a shameless plug or product placement. He only uses the slowed down voice once, right? I feel like there was more opportunity for him to do that, and he doesn't.
No. All right, Rev, what do you got? You got a second one?
Yeah, I mentioned it before, but it's still classic. "Suck brick kid." That is a fantastic line. Marv and Harry are looking up from the street. Kevin is at the top of the roof, throwing just loose bricks at them, missing, but then Marv gets hit with a couple. After Harry ducks a few times. I don't know how he's alive. Who knows? But "Suck brick kid" is a great line.
Yes.
I love that. That's good. I got one more, and then maybe we can get into booby traps and stuff, unless people have more moments or quotes. The last quote moment that I have is when Mr. and Mrs. McAllister get to the hotel, and they're just berating the concierge there, Tim Curry, and what kind of idiots do you have working here? And I think it's the lady that says, "Only the finest in New York." It just kills me every time. Anybody?
Where do they get off berating a hotel front desk who can't keep track of a kid when they left their kid at home twice when they went on vacation?
Pot calling the kettle black, man.
It's one of the best scenes. I gotta piggyback off of that and then continue where it's like, talking about going out there and he's like, all the muggers and murderers or whatever, and then he's telling her about that, and she just she just smack him eventually, Tim Curry's character, and then he just kind of, you see his bottom lip quivering like he's gonna cry, and he's just like, "You bundle up out there."
He's just such a good actor.
Funny.
He's so good.
He's amazing. And any other moments or quotes before we get into the booby traps?
I could probably roll mine into there.
Okay.
Except one line that I dropped it a couple times in episodes, just another Tim Curry, just the way he says "a pizza."
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, I watched that one before. Cheese pizza.
And can I just say that cheese pizza that they put in the limo? Oh man, that looks good.
So good.
He only eats a couple bites of it. He only drinks a tiny little sip of his Coke, and then he just drives off to the Duncan's toy chest.
Does Kevin have a eating disorder? He didn't eat the mac and cheese. He only eats one piece of pizza.
It seems to be a reoccurring thing.
One line that's not necessarily a great line, but it's such a jarring part. It's like almost like a psychedelic trip or a fever dream. Like when everybody's taunting Kevin, he gets in the cab. He's like, "It's terrible out there." He's like, "Ain't much better in here, kid."
Yeah, that's scary. I remember that being scary.
Guy looks like a version of the Ager suit from Men in Black.
That's another thing.
And you got the hookers too. Oh
Yeah. Who yells at a little kid?
That was the thing I was going to talk about. Like, all right, he's walking around there. Not a single one of them thought it was weird that there's a little kid walking around. Like the guy in the cab, he's going to like scare him away. Like rather than say, "Kid, are you okay? You're getting out by yourself in the middle of the night in Central Park."
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, that friggin' cabbie. He was scary too.
Yeah.
Oh, I did forget one before we get into the booby traps. One moment, and I think I texted you guys this when I was watching this at Christmas time last year because I had totally forgotten about it. In the opening scene or in the part when Kevin just gets to New York and he takes the taxi cab in, and he goes on top of the World Trade Center. I was like, holy cow! I mean, that's just like kind of like jaw dropping watching that.
Yeah.
Like holy cow, you know?
Oh yeah.
And I went there when I was a kid. Anybody ever make it there?
No,
Ever go?
no.
Negative.
I got to go once. My father, who is afraid of heights, actually took me to the top. So I went up
Wow,
there.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Do we want to get into booby traps? Yeah. Yeah.
Why
I
not?
said in booty traps.
Wrong movie.
That's what I said.
Wrong movie.
All right, now we're into the Goonies, everybody.
Yeah.
Now, Cass, you want to start us off here? I think you're excited to talk about one.
I'm gonna flip it a little bit. I think my favorite booby trap is not one that that Kevin sets on the Sticky Bandits, but the one where he gets the entire hotel staff, as Rev alluded to before. Again with the Angels with Even Filthier Souls or whatever it's called. And I can roll one of the lines into this. I love that you was smooching with my brother.
Smooching with everybody.
Al.
Snuffy.
Yeah, little Mo with the gimpy leg. So on TV, they cut out a lot of times when he says Cliff and the camera pans over to a guy named Cliff. It's like, no, it's not true. It's not true.
Yeah, it's so funny.
It's a great scene.
But another pitch perfect line read is when they get down on the knees and it's like, or it might be even before, but when he's like, tell you love me, and Tim Curry's just like, I love you. And the way that he army crawls out, there's an insane person with a gun.
It's so great.
So that would be my favorite of the booby traps. So even before the Sticky Bandits.
Good choice, Stuffy.
All right, mine goes to Marv when he's down in the basement. He he's I forget the exact how it initially started, but all the paint and everything starts falling on him or whatever, and there's that one moment where he just lost his balance completely when he's on the paint and he's sliding all over the place, and then just completely out of nowhere he starts like dancing and he like grabs himself like this as he's it's like so out of here, like just completely random, and then kind of tying that into just a little bit later when he grabs onto the sink thinking it's like water. And then he turns into a skeleton. Like, I know it's so stupid.
It's crappy.
Yeah,
it's like yeah, it's so great.
Yeah, it doesn't work quite as well there as Planes, Trains, and Automobiles in the highway scene.
No.
Again, John Hughes. So
Yeah.
that's what he does.
It's his go-to move.
Yeah, and
Skeleton.
I think it's great.
Yeah, good job. Good picks. Rev, you got one? You got a good one for us?
I do, yeah. I like the one where they're going up the stairs, Marv and Harry in the house, Uncle Rob's house, and they hear a sound coming down the stairs, and Harry and Marv are saying to each other, what's that sound? And all of a sudden a toolbox rams through the door, goes through the stairs, rams them right into the face. Their faces are like twisted, their nose are twisted. And then Harry gives a great response. Marv gives a great response to Harry saying, that was the sound of a tool chest falling down the stairs. That's great.
It's a brutal one. That's going to be one of the most brutal ones.
I had that written down as one of my quotes. I love that.
Again, they would have been dead, but it's okay. They would have been dead by this.
It's okay. Just broken noses this time. They're okay.
And they wouldn't even have made it that far. They would have been dead already. So.
Yeah, exactly. So the one I have put down here is mainly for how ridiculous it looks. Is I'm going back to the flamethrower again, and Harry getting his head caught on fire again. But somehow, some way, this guy flips
Yeah.
like he's
Does
in
a
like out
handstand.
like he's in outer space. Like there's no gravity.
Yeah.
Like how did he do that? Like
Yeah,
what's happening there?
Joe Pesci is the farthest thing from a gymnast.
Yeah,
He just goes up on a perfect handstand, lowers himself in,
Nice
like they got-
explodes,
too.
and then lets himself down.
It's like, did they get an Olympic gymnast to like do a body double? What's going on here?
Do
It makes a
people
great
understand-
sound.
Like, do people understand how hard that actually is to do? Like, what the hell?
He makes a
look
great
easy.
sound when he first realizes he's on fire. He's like, ah, ah, ah. The explosion makes that part pretty funny.
yeah.
Just because they don't show it in there. It's like they pan to the front of the house. It just and then they go back and his teeth are black.
Classic.
What is? I don't remember what happens, but stuff is like hitting them from above, and then something else falls down, and Marv is counting the things that hit them.
Oh, was it? Was it paint cans again? But then a big
yeah.
lead. Then it's a big lead pipe, like a horizontal.
Yeah,
and
is
it
it-
whacks
is
them
it-
both
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the mouth. It's them right in the mouth.
That's
That was it. Yeah,
one.
so yeah,
It's two.
yeah, there's two cans. So when they get hit, it's like that's three, and then the thing rolls down. Boom.
when they're pretending like they got
That's four.
that got me right in the schnoz.
The schnoz.
Like, there's no way at that point they'd be, feeling good enough to be laughing about anything. But yeah, it's just so funny. Ugh.
Anybody got any other ones? Any other stunts?
I mean, the bird seed, just because of the
Yes.
scream that
Scream.
that Daniel Stern lets out.
Rivals the
I mean,
tarantula.
the electric sink too. That's a good one where he gets electrified, and then
Yeah.
you see him turning into bone and
Yeah.
skeleton, and he gives out
Mhm.
that big.
Yeah, the John Hughes classic.
But one of the moments where I realized how ridiculous this one is compared to the first one, and this is many watches ago, is just like Joe Pesci's retcha fretchas got a little out of control, because there's like the point where just grease lands on his forehead, and he's quiet, and they just fretcha, 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 fretcha. It's like, what, he just like flipped the switch on that he just starts doing that?
Is that the catapult is pretty ridiculous too when they're jumping out of the toy store, like right before they get to the house, like
goes
perfectly just lands on it,
Yeah.
right where he needs to be. Oh God! Any others before we move along?
We only briefly mentioned that, I think, when we talk about the first movie, but Joe Pesci whacking the pigeons by the ice skating
Yes.
rink might be the funniest part of the movie.
Yeah,
Just because, like, I feel like that was an ad lib. I feel like that was just him. I think that's just Joe Pesci getting pissed off at pigeons. Yeah, come on, get out of here, get out, get out, get out, get out. He's like, he hits it so many times, and it's so pissed off.
it's classic. It's so good. It's so good. All right, so let's wrap up this sequel here, Lost in New York, Home Alone Part 2. For me, it's just, I don't know. Who the hell goes to Miami for Christmas, first off? So it's like this movie just got off on the wrong foot for me. And
They don't even have any Christmas trees there, Mom.
it's just, come on. You live in Chicago. Like, who wouldn't want to stay in snowy Chicago for Christmas? It's just not right. So I just, it never matched up to Part 1 for me, and didn't really come close other than a few good stunts and booby traps. So, Duffy, what is your final thought on this?
Again, I still love this movie. It doesn't, it's not on the same level as the original, and it never will be, but it still really holds up well. I still watch it all the time around Christmas. And, could have gone into a few other things like the crazy, weird pigeon lady who was the lady from Angels in the Outfield. There's a couple other things, or even, Mr. Duncan, who was the old crazy guy from Rookie of the Year, the owner or whatever.
The owner.
And we could go into a couple of those, but we're not going to get completely into that. I always thought, I thought it would have been cool, if this movie was made nowadays, one of the cool, little things they could have done is actually show how Harry and Marv escaped from prison during, when they got out. I thought that would have been a cool thing to see them behind the scenes and have a little side story, or
I heard they're bringing back Prison Break on Fox, and it's going to be a prequel to
yes,
Home Alone 2.
nice, excellent.
That's great.
Rev, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just hearing us talk about it, it's a lot funnier than I remembered it being with the stunts. But again, forgettable characters like the pigeon lady. I'm not into her, not into Mr. Duncan. I don't know what Uncle Rob does as a job because he's freaking loaded. You know, he's got a huge ass house. The house is apparently looks abandoned because he's got some construction going on. So who the hell knows with Uncle Rob what he does? But
maybe
yeah,
they just maybe they inherited their money since they're both apparently really rich.
And honestly, when was the last time that they were actually working on that house? Like, it looks like they hadn't been there in like 20 years.
It's like
abandoned it, and his brother didn't know that. Like, it's just, again, things that just don't add up.
Yeah, so we're renovating the house. You want floors? Nah.
No need those.
All right, we'll get right to work.
But no, I mean, I thought it's a good movie, a nice sequel, but definitely just that doesn't live up to the first one, but still good enough on its own.
Yeah. Okay. All
Another
right.
quick little thing. Kevin, how does he climb up that tube? Like, it's completely vertical. Like, I feel like that would be very difficult for most people to climb up that little tube to get inside to the brownstone.
If you're going to start asking questions about how Kevin does anything, I mean, how did he put together that entire house full of tricks in between mass when it's already dark out and when the Wet Bandits get there? How did the water freeze that quick? Like, anything. Like,
it's a cold Chicago suburb.
Yeah. I guess that's probably the only accurate part.
Cast.
I don't dislike Home Alone 2 at all. It's just not nearly as good as the first movie. And as I said, I will not seek it out to watch it, but if it's on, I'll be like, oh, great, Home Alone 2. You know, I get annoyed watching it because they try to shoehorn in quotes or like catchphrases or like total retreads, like where they make Kevin do this with his eyebrows again. It's like, you know, I'm in New York and my family's in Florida, or like, it feels kind of hackneyed. But even having said all that, you know, like there are parts that make me laugh. Tim Curry, again, I love in the movie. There are lines that I say from the movie all the time. Anytime I see never as a standalone thing, I always think, never! When, and Rev and I will say back and forth all the time, wow, what a hole. So yeah, there are things in there to enjoy. It's just it's not a good movie. There are just parts of it that are very enjoyable. You know, if it's between that and a lot of other Christmas movies, yeah, then I'll pick Home Alone 2.
Oh God, Duffy.
Gotta get our own soundboards.
Combat Duffy's soundboard.
Conspicuously, the only one of us who's not on the soundboard is Duff. So he's got all our gaffes.
What are you talking about? There's plenty of stuff on here of me.
Oh yeah.
All right, Duffy, do you want to take it from here? We're going to go a little bit of a different direction.
Well, I feel like this is a common topic that has come up, maybe not even just for this movie. There's a common theme that comes up with certain Christmas movies where a debate has raged on. Is this movie and other movies, are they actually considered Christmas movies? You might have talked amongst yourselves about the movie Die Hard. Is that a Christmas movie? I think it is. Other people don't think it is. And this topic, surprisingly, has come up with this movie, Home Alone. I don't know how that's even a conversation. I don't know how that's even come up. This movie is absolutely a Christmas movie. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it, in my opinion. I know how I feel. Now, I guess I should let you guys talk about how you feel about that, even though I know I'm right. But you know, let's start it here. Rev, what do you got for me? Are you on my side? Are you on another side? Are you on your own side? What side are you on?
Definitely not on your side. I am on the side that this is not a Christmas movie. I firmly.
So wait, hold on, just a question. Sorry, are we talking about which one are we talking about? Are we talking about Home Alone, the first one,
Both.
Yeah,
Oh, both. Okay.
Yeah, just both, but
Okay.
mostly focusing on Home Alone, the first.
Okay.
Yeah. Home Alone, the franchise. Don't think it's a Christmas movie. I can watch it at any point during the year and still love it. Doesn't have to be during Christmas. The only thing Christmas-y about it is that they go away during Christmas. It has nothing to do with Santa Claus. It has nothing to do with reindeers. It has nothing to do with anything sort of Christmas. So I'm all for it. It's not really a Christmas movie. It just so happens to fall around Christmas time. But that's it. Yeah.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that from the Rev.
Yeah, I know. I was that kind of threw me off a little bit. I guess let's just keep this consistent here because I know what direction this one individual is going to go with. Cast, what direction do you fall on this common topic here?
Like if one of us was going to be going against the grain, it's going to be me. The first time, I never thought of it as a Christmas movie. And the first time someone mentioned Home Alone as a favorite Christmas movie or as a Christmas movie in general, I was appalled. I was like, Home Alone's not a Christmas movie. Because to me, it was just a movie I could watch any time of the year. It was a comedy that just happened to take place at Christmas. And Christmas was just like the impetus for these things. Like, this is why the family was going away. But again, it doesn't deal in any of the traditional Christmas imagery. Yes, he goes to see Santa, but it doesn't have the Christmas movie feel to me. Like it's a movie that, see, here's the thing. Most Christmas movies could only take place at Christmas. This could just as well have taken place during the summer. It just happens to have taken place at Christmas. Now, and it came, and call me ignorant, but when do most Christmas movies come out? Because this came out in early November. Isn't that a little early for Christmas movies?
Not necessarily.
That doesn't matter. That's about when movies come out for the holidays. Every holiday movie always comes out beginning of
Thanksgiving.
They want to maximize the amount of revenue that they're pulling in. And
because that's before a holiday before it.
It doesn't matter. It's when do people start shopping for Christmas and freaking August?
The Rev already did his Christmas shopping.
I already did it. I'm done.
I started seeing Christmas commercials on TV in November. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you might have seen a commercial for Home Alone in November because that's when it came out. You might have seen it in October. Maybe it's a Halloween movie. I don't know.
What?
No, I will. I have no problem. I have no problem conceding over time now because I've been waging this debate for years. I have no problem conceding that it's a Christmas movie. I just don't think of it.
Don't concede
because I watched it today and it didn't feel out of place. Whereas if I watched Frosty the Snowman or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or Miracle on 34th Street, I would feel like, what the hell am I doing? It doesn't, this movie does not feel like Christmas to me. It's generally when it's on and when people watch it, but it's funny and enjoyable any time of the year. I think
it doesn't even have the word Christmas in it. That's it, in the title. Yep.
Yeah. I think the second one is more of a Christmas movie.
Negative.
Arnold agrees with me.
I agree with you too, Duffy.
Scales, please, can you be the voice of reason here and please come over to my side and tell me that I'm not going insane here, okay?
You're not going insane. It's Christmas. It's a freaking Christmas movie.
Thank you.
It's not just it happens to happen at Christmas. The soundtrack is freaking Christmas songs from start to finish.
Exactly.
It has Santa Claus in it. I don't care that he's some bootleg guy giving Tic Tacs. It's Santa Claus. There's an elf next to him. There's a Christmas tree. The kid wishes to get his family back on Christmas morning, and that's what happens. I mean, that's the greatest Christmas gift this kid could ever ask for. It's Christmas. To me, it's Christmas. It's always Christmas. It cannot be not Christmas.
And can you say Christmas more?
To me, it cannot be Christmas. Christmas. Now, Duff, you might not have been insane before, but after whatever point I was trying to make before, maybe you've gone insane when I mentioned October and Halloween and Thanksgiving.
I just honestly, again, kind of going off what Scales is saying here. You have Christmas.
Christmas.
You got Christmas trees. You got Christmas themed things. The family's going away on Christmas, leaving open the opportunity for all these things to happen. They go away any other time of year. All those things, again, there's a theme here of Kevin kind of going through too and realizing, you know what, I kind of do underappreciate my family. If he's not walking through in certain moments, like one specific scene where he's walking and he's seeing the family go in to their house on Christmas Eve, all getting together, and he's feeling, oh man, I really miss my family. Yeah, I feel like all these things, they're not going to happen as much in another time of the year as it would be during Christmas. There's a lot of themes.
Of course they can.
You know?
They can have the family going into their summer rental house.
I just don't see that.
They definitely have a summer rental house. I want that McAllister money.
Who doesn't? All right, I think we can put this to rest that it obviously is a Christmas movie. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
We're divided 2-2 here.
We're gonna have to. You know what? Let's
March of the Wooden Soldiers. Santa Claus is in that, but they show it at Thanksgiving.
All right, I know we usually wait till the end for this, but please, if you're listening right now, we want your input. Underneath here, under the video, any way you can, please reach out to us. Tell us, is this a Christmas movie or is it not a Christmas movie? I hope you will agree with myself and Scales, and not these other two here, whatever.
I'll make it worth your while.
Please, let us know. Let us know underneath in the comments. Let us know. Christmas, not Christmas movie. Thank you. Please go on with everything you guys are doing. All right, enough of this. This is just going to get me more heated here with everything. So what did we want to, kind of change the subject here to and kind of wind up with? Did we want to go into some sequels and some other little, other things that Home Alone brought us into?
Yeah. Let's mention the fact that there are how many sequels? There's 6 movies?
Oh, oops.
72.
What'd you say, Rev? 6, right? Total?
6. Yep.
That's
6.
That's
the 6th
insane.
one just came out last Christmas. The 6th one came out.
So I know you've seen all of them, right, Rev?
Unfortunately, yes.
And you actually own physical copies of all except for the latest one that came out, right? There it is.
Oh, and this nice paint bucket, 5 DVDs in here.
Nice.
All 5 movies, and then the 6 ones on Disney Plus. Yep.
Another great line that we missed with the paint cans. What does Joe Pesci say? You bought me with one more can, kid. I'm gonna pull off your cojones.
Cojones.
With motor oil.
Yeah,
that's pretty violent.
Ow.
Yeah.
Jeez. That's some torture right there.
I lost my voice doing that. But so are any of them any good? So I've seen 3 and I only saw it once. I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it back in the day when we had like a hot card for satellite, I don't know if you guys, did you guys in Connecticut have hot boxes? Like,
yeah. Called the cheater box. Yeah.
We call it a hot box. But we had
isn't that referring to something else?
We had at one point a satellite with a hot card, and it had free pay-per-view, and I think it was when Home Alone 3 was on there at one point, and I watched it, and it's like it's okay. It's just it's another one. It's like unnecessary.
It's good by itself. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean it has to do with this kid named Alex, who is the Kevin replacement, and his father works at some like top secret government agency, and he's working on some like chip, and the father ends up hiding the chip in the kid's remote control car. And the kid never knows really about it until these thieves try to come into the house to try to steal the car because they know that chip is in there. And then the kid really has no idea that they're going after this chip until later in the movie. He just thinks there's just people coming after his house. But yeah, it's okay by itself. Scarlett Johansson is Alex's sister in the movie. But yeah, by itself, not comparing the first and second to this, it's a good standalone movie, but it's probably the best one out of the next ones to come, 4, 5, and 6. But yeah, that's my thoughts on 3.
Yeah, the only thing I remember about it was that it involved a remote control car, and I think is it a team of 3 people trying to get in. There's like a woman and 2 guys. They're all dressed in black. Does that sound about right?
Yeah,
Yep.
something like that.
And the kid, they didn't leave him home on vacation. He's home
He's, like,
from
sick.
school?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, he's like homesick, and they're like Russian spies, from what I remember, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
comes
it's-
back to Russia.
Yeah. I think it was just, it's kind of unremarkable. It was like an unnecessary movie to
Yeah.
make. And like you said, it's like as a standalone, like just don't even treat it as part of the franchise. The crazy thing
Anyway,
is,
yeah, I don't know. I do agree. It was like, yeah, it's good by itself. Like I saw it like once, maybe twice, but it was okay. I you can watch it from beginning to end and not like want to blow your brains out. But yeah, but it was okay. You know, I do remember the old lady that was like his neighbor being really crappy. Like she's like really, really
Let's see,
crappy.
who
I don't
played
know.
her,
She
you
was
know?
like
Let's
I don't know.
see.
She was just like weak and old and like feeble. I mean, I guess that's what happens when you get old. Like I don't know. She was
She's
just like
Duffy.
she was just like crappy. I don't know. She was just. I just remember being like crappy. How many
pile
times
some
can I
more
say
hate on
crappy?
Mrs.
Yeah, you were saying
Mrs.
Christmas
Hess.
a bunch, and I'm
Scrappy
saying
Christmas, Scrappy Christmas, Scrappy Christmas.
the big black bug, blood, black blood.
I'm trying to see if I. No, that's not it.
Her
Marion
name is
Seldes.
Mrs. Hess.
Yes.
Yep, Mrs. Hess. Yep.
Just trying to see if she was in anything else. I have no idea who it is.
She reminds me of like a better looking version of the one in Uncle Buck who says, John Candy tells the principal, that he'll give her 25 cents to
Go downtown and have a rat and all that thing.
Yeah.
I don't know who she is.
Coke is my favorite because
Scales, have you seen it?
No, I'm going to have no input at all in these next 3, 4, and 5.
That's the only one I've seen.
Yeah, it's the only
one.
4 and 5. No, they're garbage.
The only thing I know about 4 is that French Stewart plays Marv. French Stewart plays Marv.
Why?
That is one of the biggest
not?
downgrades in the history of histories.
It's not even like they got someone who looks remotely like Daniel Stern.
No.
But I don't. What is the point of 4? What happens in 4?
Jeez. I mean, there's a plot to kidnap like some like prince or something like that from his dad Peter. It has to do with like royalty, and there's a plot to kidnap some like prince.
Apparently,
or something like that.
the parents got divorced, and Kevin wants to go spend Christmas with his father and his father's new girlfriend at some mansion where there's a royal family there. I just read this on IMDb.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to kidnap the prince Marv. The new Marv.
Sounds like a
And that
winner.
one from Dodge, the one from Dodgeball's in it. The one with the really big forehead, the unibrow woman in Dodgeball. She's
Nice.
It's like she's
That's
like
so
the hair
random.
into the Marv. Yeah.
That is so
Yep.
random. Well, didn't they? I thought I saw somewhere that they were trying really hard to get like the original cast and everyone back to do a third one, and they just like the last second they're like, yeah, "This is ridiculous." So Kevin's too old. This is just not doable, or something like that. Am I wrong with that, or I thought I saw that?
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah,
you're not
You
wrong.
are wrong that it's you are wrong that it's a Christmas movie. But you're not wrong with that.
Apparently, they decided that Marv needed a last name, so his name is Marv Merchants.
I think he already had a last name.
Did they
don't
mention?
think-
I don't
I don't know if
Did
they
they
ever
ever
said it
mention
in
it?
the movies. I don't know.
They made a point in the credits in 1 and 2. It doesn't mention it, but for 3, he's
okay.
Marv Merchants.
Mm.
Weird.
What a pile of hot garbage. And did you see? You saw 5. Does that even merit being mentioned?
No, I mean Ed Asner's in it, so that's cool.
How did they get
I
him to do
guess. I don't even know. And Malcolm McDowell, he's in it too, so it's kind of cool.
How are they getting these people to do these movies? These weren't released in the theater.
No,
They go
straight to like DVD. Yeah.
Yeah, because this wasn't even streaming age. I just looked. Home Alone 4 came out in 2002.
Yep. Yeah, the kid was scared of like ghosts in the house, and he was like setting up like booby traps for the ghosts in the house, but then it ended up being not ghosts. It ended up being like these thieves that were trying to steal art from the house. That's kind of the plot of the movie.
That sounds good.
Good
Yeah,
lord.
it sounds terrible.
I'm picturing French Stewart playing Marv like he played Harry on Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh God. Jesus.
We're the Wet Bandits.
Like,
Home Alone 4 with a whopping 2.6 stars on IMDb.
Oh yeah, terrible. Oh, yeah.
it's only a little bit worse than the rating for the first one.
Hey, Home Alone 6 is a whopping 3.6.
Oh, it's
I think
just
that's
a little bit better.
I think that's what Home Alone 2 is. Home Alone 2's got a pretty low rating
It's 6.8, Home Alone 2.
on IMDb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's somewhere I saw somewhere that it was pretty
And
low.
the first one is 7.7, which is still low for
The
should be higher.
the Chicago Tribune gave it like a 60% or something. They're stupid. I mean, who the hell likes Chicago anyway?
No, you know what it is? I was watching it on Rev, your movies anywhere. The tomato meter, I think, is like 36% for Home Alone 2.
What do they
that's
know?
that's where I'm getting
They
my
don't know
threes
nothing.
from. No. Yeah, it's not that bad. Come on.
No.
Yeah, but Home Alone 6 then streamed on Disney Plus. It was Erin from The Office. She was in it, Ellie Kemper.
Yeah, that's a reason to watch.
It was actually,
Yeah.
actually, it wasn't that terrible. It was more of a heartwarming movie because she ended up being the thief, but she did it for the right reason, because she thought that the kid who was supposed to be like the Kevin of the movie stole one of her precious like heirlooms of like a doll during like an open house that she had, and she wanted it back because she was like hard times with the husband, and they thought it'd be worth a lot of money. So then she went back into the house, thought that the kid stole it. The kid didn't actually steal it, and then she had a change of heart, and it was actually good times in the end. So it wasn't so bad. It was a totally different shift from what the normal Home Alones are.
You know, I'm going to be completely honest. I couldn't even follow what you just said.
Me either.
That was like Frank Caliendo's impression of John Madden. It was like great football is great football. When you got great players playing great football.
It's like Will Ferrell in old school when he tries to debate and he blacks out.
Blacks out, yeah.
How about just some miscellaneous Home Alone stuff? Anybody ever play any of the video games or any other media? Anything?
I mean, the NES.
Not
The
really,
NES game was
no.
pretty difficult. I mean,
Yeah,
pretty hard.
I
The
remember,
NES
I
game.
remember it being hard. I didn't have it. I think I may have rented the NES one. I just remember it being really hard. I always wanted to play the Sega one because it always looked cool, but I don't think I ever got a chance to play it. There is a good, shout out to the angry video game nerd who we all love. He actually did a Home Alone themed episode with Macaulay Culkin starring alongside of him, and it's fairly entertaining. I went back and rewatched it today, and they go through a long list of Home Alone games from the Game Boy, Game Gear, NES, Sega, Super Nintendo, and then a European release only on the PlayStation 2 that came out in like 2008 or something. It had nothing to do with the movie. It was just Home Alone, and it's really odd. It's really strange.
I think I played the one on Super Nintendo a couple times. There was a place in my neighborhood called Space Station 13 where you can go and basically rent time on a system. So you just pay for the amount of time that you played, and they had a ton of games, and you could play as many games as you wanted. And I remember playing Home Alone a couple times. I never got anywhere with it. I remember it being weird and kind of difficult, and then watching the nerd videos, it's like, oh yeah, this is even worse than I remember.
Yeah.
I thought I remember the music in the game being all right, but it's just like a port of the music from the movies.
Yeah. In the Sega one, it seems pretty cool. You can you collect different random pieces of things, and you have like a construction screen where you can make booby traps, like combining different things, and then you set the traps and you catch Harry and Marv. So it looked like it would actually be a pretty fun game. Don't have it on the emulator or anything, but it'd be pretty cool to play that.
Yeah. I see you smirking, Joe. I heard the voice crack too.
I wasn't sure if anybody else did, because usually it's me. Usually it's me that has these voice cracks, but it was subtle.
Got really excited.
It was very subtle.
Oh boy. So let's wrap things up here. Just final thoughts on Home Alone, whatever it might be. Like, how do you feel about it, just in general? Let's throw it to our guest, Rev. How do you feel about
one of my top? I'm going to say top 10 movies all time. The original top 10 movies all time. Both of them together, classic franchise. Still can watch it at any point during the year. Classic characters. John Candy. I mean, classic guy in there too. Got a great couple lines. But yeah, no, I love Home Alone, and it will always be my favorite. Never ever gets old. I can watch that tons of times, hundreds of times. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
And one word about John Candy's scenes: filmed all in one day for something like $414 as a favor to John Hughes. It was a 23-hour shoot, and he improvised all his dialogue. He was the only actor who was allowed to go off book. Everything he said was his own. And he and Catherine O'Hara are both Canadian. They both worked on SCTV together, so they already had that chemistry where they could just bounce off each other.
It's amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's such a great scene. So glad we kind of glossed over him before. I'm glad you shouted him out now. Scales, your thoughts.
Sure. Home Alone is my favorite Christmas movie of all time. One of my favorite movies of all time in general. Just like you said, Rev, just one of those movies you can just put on. It's 20 years from now, we're going to be able to put it on, and it's still going to be as funny as it was the first time. Just, everlasting classic. I'm glad to pass it down to the next generation of kids, to Rosie, who loves it. And I hope it's just one of those movies that carries on. Maybe for our parents and older generation, it was Miracle on 34th Street or things like that as far as Christmas movies. And I just hope that it and I think it will. It'll withstand the test of time forever. It's just classic movie.
Well put. Duff.
Best Christmas movie ever made. Christmas movie ever made. But also, do
me a favor. Anytime you want to say Christmas, have Scale say it for you.
Best
Christmas
movie ever made. And also, definitely in my top movies of all time. I can't wake up on Christmas morning without having viewed this at least one time. It's mostly multiple times that I'll probably watch this. They don't make movies like this anymore. And I just, again, this holds up. Everybody I've shown this to, even younger, my nephew too, and he's watched this, he loves it. And it's funny. It's got a great story. It just gets you in the mood for Christmas because it's a Christmas movie. But yeah, phenomenal movie. And, John Candy and just everybody in this it just made this just what it was. It's, I hope, for years to come too, like everybody still looks back at this one and it's always on TV, and it's just one of the instant classics that'll always be there.
Well put. I really can't add much to what you guys said because I think you summed it up very well, other than the incessant harping on it being a Christmas movie. All we have to say is that it's a great movie. From the first time I saw it until today, I will always be that 5-year-old kid, like an overwhelmed wind-up toy, wanting to jibber-jabber about every single scene, line, prank, everything that happened in the movie. And I think that we kind of prove that here today, because when we got going, it's like we're trying to keep the time, try to keep it a little bit concise, but then we get off on the thing and it's like, oh, but that and it's so hard to not just like throw everything at the wall with this one, because there's just so much in it to love. The performances are great. It's very funny. The slapstick, the good lines. It's a great movie, no matter what the stupid critics said back in the day. And the fact, again, that your daughter Scales loves the movie, and she's a kid and has been exposed to far different stuff than we were growing up, shows that it's timeless. And I think that 32 years from now, people are still going to love Home Alone, so just like we do. So
Agreed.
great movie, great discussion. Had a lot of fun doing this episode. We're going to sign off now, though. We want you to like this video if you liked it. We want you to leave a comment no matter what you thought about it. And I don't care if you liked it or not. Subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to our channel and leave us hate on every video. We don't really care. Just, we want people to watch what we're doing. But yeah, in all seriousness, subscribe, leave a comment. Ring that
I love
notification.
this is a Christmas movie or not. Vote.
Yeah. Yes. Weigh in on our debate.
Break the tie.
I know where most people stand, but who cares? But that's it. Follow us on social media on Instagram and TikTok, where Mr. Scales puts up a lot of content, clips of our show, other original stuff. Some throwbacks to TGIF every Friday. That's Throwbacks Technodrome Pod. And until next time, also, before I forget, because I always do, we are available for audio only on Apple and Spotify. So if you can't watch us, if it's more convenient to just listen to us, please subscribe there. And also give us a 5-star rating if you like us. Leave a written review. We could use them. We want to get the word out to people. We want people to watch us and listen to us. But until next time, have a good night. We'll see you next month.
Later. Bye.
I would squeeze the bun.